At 3 in the morning, silence rests on the neighborhood like a heavy blanket. The streetlights hum faintly, casting long shadows on empty sidewalks, and the world seems to hold its breath. Yet inside countless houses, older adults find themselves awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering why sleep has abandoned them once again. It is a pattern many notice with age. A sudden awakening in the middle of the night, often around 3 o'clock, and difficulty drifting back to sleep. While some brush it off as part of getting older, others worry that it signals a deeper problem. Understanding why this happens requires looking closely at how sleep changes with age, what underlying conditions might contribute, and whether waking at that hour is a cause for concern. Sleep is not a uniform state. It moves through cycles of light and deep stages, punctuated by periods of rapid eye movement where dreaming occurs. In younger adults, these cycles are longer and more stable, often leading to sustained, uninterrupted rest. But as people grow older, sleep architecture shifts. Deep sleep stages become shorter, lighter sleep dominates the night, and the ability to stay asleep for extended stretches diminishes. The body's internal clock, or circadian rhythm, also changes, making older adults more likely to feel sleepy earlier in the evening and wake earlier in the morning. These natural adjustments are part of aging, and they explain why 3 in the morning becomes a vulnerable hour when wakefulness slips in. However, the regularity of waking at the same time often feels uncanny. Many older adults report that they wake almost as if by alarm, night after night, and struggle to understand why their body insists on disrupting rest at that hour. One explanation lies in hormone production. Melatonin, the hormone that helps regulate sleep, is secreted in smaller amounts with age. Cortisol, the stress hormone, tends to rise in the early morning hours, often peaking between 2 and 4 a.m. That increase can nudge the brain toward alertness just as the body should be in its deepest rest, leading to unwanted awakenings. For many, this biological rhythm alone is enough to explain the pattern. Yet not all causes are so benign. Medical conditions that become more common with age can aggravate sleep patterns. Sleep apnea, in which breathing repeatedly stops and starts during the night, often awakens people without them realizing why. Restless leg syndrome can create an irresistible urge to move the legs, making it difficult to stay asleep. Chronic pain from arthritis or other conditions may flare during the night, pulling someone out of slumber. The bladder, too, plays a role. Older adults often wake to urinate, and once up, find it difficult to return to rest. Even mild shifts in blood sugar can trigger wakefulness, especially for those managing diabetes. Mental health also intertwines with the pattern. Anxiety and depression both disrupt sleep, and the early hours of the morning are notorious for amplifying worries. Older adults may lie awake, replaying conversations, dwelling on regrets, or anticipating future problems, their minds unwilling to quiet. Loneliness and grief, common in later life, can also haunt the night hours, turning wakefulness into a time of reflection and sorrow. The brain, no longer cushioned by deep restorative sleep, becomes more vulnerable to these thoughts. Environmental factors compound the issue. As hearing and vision change with age, sensitivity to small disturbances often increases. A neighbor's car, a shift in temperature, or even the quiet hum of a refrigerator can become enough to rouse someone at 3 in the morning. Medications, too, have side effects that interfere with sleep. Many older adults take prescriptions for blood pressure, heart conditions, or other chronic illnesses, and some of these drugs alter sleep architecture or cause nighttime awakenings as part of their action. Still, the pressing question remains: should an older adult worry if they consistently wake at 3 a.m.? The answer is not straightforward. On one hand, occasional middle-of-the-night wakefulness is a normal part of aging and, by itself, does not signal danger. If someone can fall back asleep after a short while and still feels rested in the morning, it may not be a serious concern. On the other hand, if these awakenings are frequent, prolonged, and leave a person fatigued during the day, they can reduce quality of life and point to underlying health problems that deserve attention. Poor sleep has been linked to weakened immunity, increased risk of falls, memory difficulties, and cardiovascular strain. In older adults already managing other health conditions, these risks can be especially serious. Doctors often advise beginning with simple lifestyle adjustments. Keeping a consistent sleep schedule, even on weekends, helps reinforce the body's circadian rhythm. Reducing caffeine and alcohol intake, particularly in the evening, can prevent unnecessary stimulation. Creating a cool, quiet, and dark bedroom environment makes it easier to stay asleep. Limiting screen exposure before bed helps regulate melatonin production, since the blue light from devices can trick the brain into believing it is daytime. Gentle exercise during the day supports better rest at night, though vigorous activity too close to bedtime may be counterproductive. For some, learning relaxation techniques such as deep breathing or meditation helps quiet the mind when wakefulness strikes in the small hours. When self-care strategies fail, a medical evaluation may be necessary. A doctor can review medications, screen for sleep disorders, and test for other conditions that might contribute to fragmented sleep. In some cases, a sleep study can provide detailed insights into nighttime patterns, revealing whether apnea or restless leg syndrome is present. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia has been shown to be particularly effective in older adults, addressing both the physical and mental factors that disrupt sleep. Unlike sleeping pills, which can pose risks of dependence or falls, this approach builds long-term resilience against insomnia. Beyond the medical perspective, there is also a philosophical one. Waking at 3 a.m. has a long history in human culture. Before the Industrial Revolution, segmented sleep, where people slept in two shorter blocks with a period of wakefulness in between, was common. Historical records describe individuals rising in the middle of the night to pray, reflect, or even visit neighbors before returning to sleep. In this light, the early morning awakening may not be a flaw, but a remnant of an older pattern of human rest. For some older adults, accepting this wakefulness as an opportunity for calm reflection or quiet activity can reduce anxiety about it, making it easier to eventually drift back to sleep. Still, balance is essential. While occasional 3 a.m. wakefulness may be harmless or even historically natural, persistent insomnia should not be ignored. Sleep is foundational to health, and its erosion can accelerate decline in other areas. The older adult who finds themselves awake at 3 every night, exhausted during the day, and struggling to cope with daily tasks is not simply experiencing normal aging. They may need help, whether through medical treatment, counseling, or adjustments to their environment. Ultimately, the story of 3 a.m. awakenings is a story of the aging body and mind, vulnerable yet resilient, struggling to maintain a rhythm that once came effortlessly. It is a reminder that sleep, so easily taken for granted in youth, becomes a precious resource in later years. For some, the answer lies in medical intervention. For others, in lifestyle changes or acceptance of new patterns. But for all, the quiet hours before dawn carry meaning. They are a mirror of the body's changes, a challenge to be understood rather than feared. Whether through science, history, or personal reflection, older adults can find ways to make peace with the clock that wakes them in the dark, turning worry into wisdom and restless nights into opportunities for care and renewal. Word count, Tlash 1109.